Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome to this Alliance War video. Today we will be taking on IM in the first war of Season 33. So today I'll be taking Path 1 in Section 1 using Apocalypse and Human Torch. I'll be taking this fight with Apocalypse. Now, the most important thing to pay attention to in this fight is the regen. If your playstyle involves you keeping quite close to the opponent, then this can stack up, and unless you have got a very high damage champion, then it can become a little bit much for you to deal with, as you may see later in this fight. Now, obviously for Mr. Negative himself, the only thing you've really got to worry about is his delirium. If you're not ready for it, that can trip you up a little bit, but Mr. Negative is a fairly straightforward defender to deal with. So my strategy going into this fight was to build up to my level 2 and to get the debuffs off on Mr. Negative as soon as I could, so that we could start ticking the damage down a little bit and get that ability accuracy reduction in place quite soon. Now, of course, the thing that I totally forgot was that I'm not running cable like I usually am, so my Apocalypse is only actually on one charge, and I can stun into block, etc., which is how I've got used to playing him, which obviously hampers his offensive abilities quite a bit. He's, far more effective on 4 charges than he is on 1. Now you can see after these specials, I've barely done any damage to him at all, so I've decided that if I started to stack those heavy attacks up, it would sort of mitigate some of the regen that I've let him get on himself, and hopefully that will bring the fight a little bit more under control. And instead of focusing on SP2, I would just use the SP1, as it doesn't involve sort of going so close, it requires less power. This fight obviously also wasn't made any easier by the fact that I absolutely sucked throughout a good sort of 2/3 of this fight, so if you play better, this would be far more possible, but I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt and put this down to first war jitters with the new alliance, and this is obviously the first fight of the season, and it can only get better from here really. So we've got the fight back under control now. He's down to a third of his health, and despite once again getting smacked in the face, I know exactly how I'm going to finish this fight. I'm just going to build up to my SP3, which, touch wood, should finish him off, and he can't, if it kills him outright, he can't heal up at all, and that deals with the whole matchup. Obviously, in this case, as is probably appropriate, it doesn't quite kill him off, but I've got that fat poison on him now, and it's just a case of just kicking him in the face, and the fight is finally over. So for the second fight, we've got Longshot. Obviously we're going to use Human Torch, and as this is the only fight that we are using Torch for in this war, I'm going to put a pre-fight on him so that we melt him. There will be nothing really to worry about whatsoever in this fight. Under normal circumstances, you'd probably want to pay attention to regen from the node so that you don't get stuck like we did in the last fight, but I run max despair, and Human Torch's entire kit is all about putting debuffs on the opponent or mitigating their healing, so it's not really something we've got to worry about ourselves with this time. As this is a player's Longshot rather than a normal defender that you'd find on Story Quest or whatever, you've got to make sure that we keep Mystic Dispersion into account. If we're dexing too much, we could get a little bit too much power to the opponent and things could get a little bit out of hand, so that's why you'll see me sort of blocking specials rather than dexing them. And obviously, as it's the only fight with Torch, again, his final health doesn't really matter that much. But in this case, we finished it out well. It's a nice easy fight, and yeah, on to section 2. So we're taking Path 7 in our section 2, and we'll be taking this Domino with Apocalypse. Now normally when you're fighting Domino. It's nice to have that Magneto pre-fight so that you can parry everything easily, but it's not essential, as we'll show in this fight here. Now, my main strategy in this fight is to block Domino's specials where possible, and if I get the spacing right, just simply avoid them by distance. And obviously we don't want to push past 2 bars of power, just in case we do get that dex on us and we end up finding ourselves in a little bit of a pickle. And yeah, that's what the indestructible boosters are for, because Domino is Domino and you will make mistakes. Now the screen's jumped there because I got a text, and you should always do your war fights with do not disturb on, because it can kill you, and if you're playing tier 1, tier 2 wars, dying because somebody texted you is not the way you want to go out. Now we've got our special 2 off, so Domino's taking a little bit of damage, and we've got it down to half health, so the next stage is to just try and keep those debuffs on. Now I dropped that one with unlucky, so absolutely nothing happened, and because of the opponent running max limber, I didn't want to risk refreshing those debuffs with the heavy and end up getting smacked in the face when I've got no indestructible left. So after taking a full combo into the face, we've got Domino down to 1/3 health, and it's just a case of dropping this special 2 to just finish up the fight, and that's all she wrote really. Just this is the last fight with Apocalypse, so don't really mind that I'm on sort of only 50% health. If I'd known I've got more fights, I might have played a little bit more conservatively, but I got the kill and that's what matters. Our second fight on Path 7 is with Archangel against Kinetic Transfer and Green Goblin. Now Green Goblin can be a massive pain on this node if you let him get his special 1 off, because you can't dodge it and it's just going to give him so much power. However, with Archangel, especially Horseman Archangel, that's not really a problem at all, as you're going to see. So we're just going to play parry heavy style, and we're just going to curl up after each parry so that he doesn't throw his special 1. And yeah, once you've got 3 neuros up, kinetic transference is turned off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Just hit into him like it's a normal fight and he just completely melts. And the last fight of this war is the joint mini boss, which is again another kinetic transference fight, this time against America Chavez. And the main thing that we worry about with America Chavez is interrupting her heavy attack will put that glancing damage back effect on you, which just isn't a good time at all. Now my RNG with Archangel wasn't quite as nice as it was in the previous fight, so we have had to bait a couple of specials out in this one, but we've got that fight under control quite quickly, and again it's just a case of getting backwards and just watching her melt. It was a nice clean fight, a good end to the war, which I'm happy to say that we won. So happy to say we won this war quite comfortably, and for the first war of the season, 11 deaths is fairly respectable, and to any of you who did manage to make it to the end, thanks for watching.